Hello and welcome. This is the 5th Mindful Music session with the City of London Sinfonia. And I'm Jane Carwardine, the principal second violin of the orchestra, and I'm also an Alexander teacher. To do the session today, you don't need to have any knowledge of the Alexander technique, because we're going to do some experiments together, and so you'll be able to experience it. So today, probably to get the best out of it, it's probably best to remove your shoes. It's just easier. And just need a bit of space to stand in comfortably, and a bit of room to move around in, and a stool which you're probably, or a stool or a chair which you're probably sitting on already. So the theme for today is we're going to explore together just how amazing it is that we stand on 2 feet and stand upright, and also the purpose of music. So just a couple of light subjects there. So with these experiments we're going to do together, there's no right or wrong, just be curious and playful. It's like, you just be like a child, exploring. And we've got the chat running, so please do add any feedback as you go along on how you're getting on with your experiments, because I'm trying to sort of create a sort of community. We're learning together, really. Okay, so experiment number 1. So just find your comfortable standing place, and I will go back a bit further so you can see all of me. So have you found your space? So while you're standing here, just contemplate really how amazing it is that you can balance without thinking about it, and nobody has ever taught you how to do it. It's quite amazing really, isn't it? So I'm just going to ask you in a minute to go up on your toes. I mean, if you have a problem with balance and you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just imagine it, actually. So just go up onto your toes now. And come back to the floor. Now you probably noticed slight movements where you were getting your balance, and your body just doesn't want you to fall over. So there's all this compensation going on. And what is really going on is that you've got a visual system, an inner ear system, and your muscular skeletal system. And in your muscular skeletal system, you've got sensors on all your muscles and in your joints, so that you know where you are in space. And they work all together, integrate in a very complicated way. But it's always going on in the background, whatever you're doing. Okay, so let's continue with our experiment. So just see that, put your feet probably about hip width apart. And now bring your attention to the soles of your feet. Just notice the contact you have with the floor. You have loads of nerve endings in your feet which give you feedback. We're connected to the earth through our feet. And the rest of us, we're sort of just almost swimming around, really, aren't we? So now just transfer your weight to your right foot and come back to the centre. And do that with your left foot. And just come back to the centre. And now move forward onto the balls of your feet, and you'll feel the weight on the balls of your feet. And come back to the centre. And now put more weight on your heels. And just go back a little bit. You'll probably find that your thighs kick in because they really don't want you to fall over backwards. And then come back to the centre. Now, with your fingertips, find your hip joints. So they're sort of about here on me. And to make it clearer, just lift a leg and you'll be able to feel where the joint's moving. Now with your index fingers, just pop them behind your ears in the hollow. This is the top of your spine, so just give a little nod and a turn of your head. And now just appreciate the distance between those 2 points. Okay, now with your fingertips again on your hip joints, I'm just going to ask you to move your hips backwards slowly and at the same time your head to lead forwards, just like that. And to come back to the centre. Now bring your attention to your ankles. Just let them be soft as you can and release so that they can move. And now just imagine that you've got a pencil attached to your head, a long pencil, so that you can draw a circle on the ceiling, moving from your ankles. So just draw a circle. It doesn't have to be very big. And then you can go the other way. So your whole body is soft while this is happening. And come back to the centre. Excellent. So now we'll go back onto our toes. So to begin with, just move your weight onto the balls of your feet and stop there. Now, just think of lightening upwards and go up onto your toes. And come down to your heels. Now do let me know in the chat whether it's any different the second time to the first. So what we were doing there, we were thinking and moving certain parts of us. And that brings our body map into consciousness very briefly. I do this in an Alexander lesson, usually with my hands. I guide people. And then, just before we did something a bit more challenging, going up onto our toes, we then changed our focus of thinking away from going up on our toes. We were thinking of lightening upwards. And that just makes the conscious brain get out of the way so that our wonderful natural coordination can just get on with the job. And this is sort of one of the cornerstones of the Alexander technique. And with practice, it becomes much more accessible in everyday life, and it's really freeing for the mind and the body. Now for some music. I'll just get my violin. Now I'm going to play some Bach. I'm going to play the 7th movement of the Goldberg variations. Now, funnily enough, the Goldberg variations has featured quite a lot in our Mindful Music series, completely coincidentally. So I'm going to ask you also to participate. This is the dance of the hands, and actually the movement I'm playing is a jig. And while I'm playing, just move around the room, dance around the room, however you want to move around the room, and just follow your hand. So, are you ready? Now I'm going to do the repeat, and this time follow your feet. second section, follow your head. I hope you enjoyed that and had a bit of fun. I'll just put my violin down. So now for my next theme, the purpose of music. I think we'll probably all agree that music affects our emotions. So let's just have a quick think what emotions actually are. They're quick decision makers that have helped us survive. So when we don't have enough information or time to make up our minds about something, because our rational brain takes longer, they kick in. So an example, a very simple example, is that suddenly you've got a lion coming over the horizon and it's just eaten a huge antelope. So it's not really interested in you, but you really won't stay around to find out that. You'll just go. So music is a very ancient language. It affects our old parts of the brain. So it is thought that some of our ancestors, possibly Neanderthal man, used music as their form of communication, so that they would be able to form social cohesion with their groups and so express that and keep the groups together. And it's also been found 42,000 years ago, I think probably in a cave actually, there was a bone flute. So this was humans by this time. So there's quite a lot of evidence that we were using music and probably dance in rituals, so like early religions. So as humans were trying to find their place or understand the world. And it's true that in every culture, music's appreciated. Usually, everyone participates in the music as a community event and it's passed down orally. And that's the same with popular music in the West as well. So it's strange, isn't it? Western classical music is the odd one out. Now, why is that? And it's the odd one out because audience tend to sit and listen, and performers are on the stage, so there's a bit of a remoteness. And I think that's come about because music has been written down. But that's enabled the greatest musical minds to write down exactly what they have conceived without relying on the performers to memorise it. And that's created much more complexity because they were able to, really. But of course, it's not so easy then just to join in. But what I find quite interesting is that in the 11th century, when music was just first being written down in the form that we still use today, it was written down to record plainsong in the Christian church. Plainsong is a single melody to which all the religious texts were set and sung. And it also evolved really from Jewish and Islamic traditions, as well as ancient Greek musical practices. So when it was written down, then people obviously began to know them, but then they would start putting the two melodies together. And more melodies were put together. And it's from that that we get all the diverse forms of classical music today. But I hope you can see the emotional connection from that 42,000 years ago, and that all music has this emotional charge. So now for my musical experiment. I thought I'd share with you some plainsong. The one I've chosen is Salve Festa Dies, Hail Great Day. And I first heard it listening to the wonderful contemporary Scottish composer James Macmillan discussing what music has inspired him to write. And this was one of them. Now, if you'd been a monk in the 14th century, this piece would have been second nature to you. And as you got up in the morning and sung it with your fellow monks, you would have got that instant sense of community. Now, I rather suspect that not so many of us know this piece, but it's also true that learning something fires up all these new neural pathways, especially if you're using your body as well. So I propose that we have a go at learning this together. So are you feeling excited, enthusiastic? Or are you worried I can't sing, or I won't be able to remember it? Just notice. Just notice your reaction. It's quite interesting really, because obviously it really doesn't matter whether we master this or not. We're not performing it to the wide world, and it just doesn't matter what sound you make. So I'm going to play it to you, so just have a listen. As you can hear, it's very irregular because it was set to words. It's like a conversation. So I propose that we have a bit of a musical chat together. So, to do this, I'm first going to play the first sentence. Now, when you join in, you can hum, you can la, whistle, or sing in the loudest voice possible in your mind. So I'll play the first sentence, just have a listen. Okay, and now just join in with me. And now let's do that again, and I will answer you. Great. So now I will do the third sentence. So just listen. I'll play it again and just sing with me. Let's do it one more time and I'll answer you. do the whole thing through. I'll give you some cues. So we'll start together. Together. Let's have a little break, just to let that embed into your brain. And while we're doing that, just bring your awareness into the space in your room. With your peripheral vision, just notice all the objects there. You can listen to any sounds. And just notice the space behind you, in front of you, above you, underneath you, and to each side. And then just think about your sitting bones on the chair. So if you're unsure what they are, just sit on your hand and you'll feel the bony part sort of press onto your palm of your hand. So notice that connecting with the seat. You might have to sit nearer the edge to feel that clearly. Then think about the top of your spine and all the space in between, and just notice your torso just gently moving. Okay, ready for our performance? So we'll have our conversation as we've just done, and then I'll play another section. I'll play section B. So just listen. Then we'll do another conversation. I'll do B and another conversation. Don't worry if you don't remember that. I'll give you cues as long as I don't forget, but I'm not going to. Okay, are we ready? Play together. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed that, and also that you could feel some connection with me and your fellow listeners through singing together. This has become quite a lovely earworm for me, this piece, and I recommend you listen to it. There are quite a few recordings of monks singing it in abbeys, and you get that fantastic acoustic, which makes it incredibly atmospheric. So thank you for joining me today. We've come to the end of our session. And just on behalf of the orchestra, as well as our concerts, we take great pride and really love doing all our work, all our creative projects with more vulnerable people in our society. And in fact, tomorrow morning at 11:30, Jolie Coos, one of our cellists, is actually going into a hospital and playing with a couple of the consultants. So that would be really worth a watch. And so if you're able to make a donation at all for this important work to keep us going into these places, then please do. We'd be very grateful. There'll be some information on the chat. And just to let you know that the next session of mindful music is being given by Ruth Gibson in 2 weeks' time, which I think is the 5th of August at 6:30. And she's going to give you a restorative session focusing on the Bach with Bach. I wonder if she'll be using the Goldberg. I don't know. Anyway, it's just time for me to say goodbye and thank you.